Welcome to Poker for Pound Pups. My name is Wes. This is a poker vlog of an amateur player who's just trying to make a little bit of extra money, and hopefully you're entertained along the way to where if we get this channel monetized, at least 10% of profits will go to local dog shelters. So if you're new here and you want to either support dog shelters or if you like the content, just go ahead and hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It's your chance to make a difference today. Anyway, my name's Wes. This is vlog 26 and we play both some 1-3 and some 3-5 today. And stay tuned until the end because we've got a big announcement for vlog 27. We start things off at 1-3 with ace-9 of diamonds from the low jack. I bump it up to 15. The button makes the call and we go heads up to 8-7-6 with 2 diamonds. Horrible flop for my range, but I've got so much equity with my specific hand that I want to start building this pot. And I'm super comfortable if he ends up coming over the top. I make it something pretty reasonable, 15 bucks, with plans of sizing up on the turn. He makes the call, and our hand improves to top pair as the ace of spades comes in. I bet 50, and he min clicks it, making it 100 bucks. I've got top pair, the nut flush draw, and an open-ended straight draw. So let's just go ahead and rip this in. We go all in, the button makes the call, and we go off to the river, which comes in the 10 of spades, giving us the straight. The button shows a7 offsuit, so he turned 2 pair. Once he decided to play his hand, this one pretty much played itself. We get off to a great start on the day, felting our opponent on the button. Next up, we've got red pocket aces on the button, a few limpers, and we bump it up to 16. And we get 3 callers. Flop comes out, deuce, deuce, ace. We just go ahead and flop a boat. Maybe someone else has the case ace, maybe somebody's got a deuce, but more than likely we're trying to get value from all those club draws or some of those pocket pairs out there. So I make it a whopping 10 bucks to go. And sadly, despite only going 1/6 the size of the pot, everyone folds. Good news is that because we flopped a boat, we collect $150 of high hand money. So it's not a total waste, and we are 2 for 2. Let's keep it rolling. Middle position raises 15 bucks in the next hand, and I look down at pocket 5s. I go ahead and make the call, hoping to flop a set. We end up going heads up in position to a flop of jack 5 deuce. We are running good to start today. My opponent checks, and there's really nothing to be afraid of on this kind of board, so I check it back. Turn brings in the jack of hearts, and now middle position bets 15. I think if I do anything other than call, I'm going to scare everything other than jacks away. So I just go ahead and stick in 15 bucks, and we're off to the river, which is the 3 of hearts. Middle position bets 40 bucks, which is 2/3 the size of the pot. Obviously, I'm sitting here with a full house, so I make it 120. Middle position thinks it over for a few seconds and ultimately makes the call. Our full house is good, and he shows pocket aces. Not the best run out, but hey, anytime you beat pocket aces, you take it. We are 3 for 3, and we are absolutely on fire to start the day. Nothing slows down momentum like a bomb pot, and thankfully this time we're on the button with ace-jack of clubs, and we flop a nut flush draw as it comes out 10-10-5 with 2 clubs. The low jack opens to 20, the hijack makes the call, and short stack, the cutoff rips it all in for 94 bucks. I think a full house is probably just gonna go ahead and call here, considering that they're not afraid of anything. So when he rips it all in like this, I think the cutoff either has a 10 or he has a weaker flush draw. If he's got the weaker clubs, I've got him crushed. And if he's got a 10, I've still got plenty of outs. Considering pot odds, I think the only thing I can do here is just go ahead and make the call. So that's what I do. The low jack and the hijack both fold. And sure enough, the cutoff shows that he has 10-9 offsuit. Turn is the 7 of hearts, and the river is the 6 of clubs. We stay in fuego, scooping nearly a $300 pot, and we are 4 for 4 on the day. This one is easily my worst played hand of the day. I've got king jack offsuit with a $10 button straddle on. I'm sitting in the big blind, and my table's been more on the passive side, but I decide to raise it to 40 bucks. New player under the gun makes the call, and the button, who's been straightforward today, also joins us. So we're going 3 ways to a flop of 10-5 deuce. There aren't any draws out there, and I decide I'm just going to go ahead and represent an overpair. I bet 75, under the gun makes the call, and the button folds. We do pick up some equity as the turn brings in the queen of spades, so now I'm open-ended. I've told the story that I have an overpair, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the heat on my opponent. If he happened to have a 10 and flop top pair, he's not going to like the continued pressure plus the overcard. So I make it 130 to go. Thankfully, under the gun folds. I really don't like how aggressive I was in this hand, but it worked out. We're 5 for 5 and absolutely streaking. I think I need to fire the cameraman as I had a monster flop with pocket sevens where I went set over set against our opponent who happened to go runner for a straight flush. We lost less than 150 bucks, so I consider that to be a win, all things considered. And now we flash back to real time as we've got pocket sevens once again. This time I'm sitting in the cutoff, I bump it up to 20 bucks. The button makes the call and the big blind joins as well, so we're going 3 ways to a flop of queen 7-3 with 2 diamonds. A set of sevens wasn't good last time, but I think we're in really good shape this time around. I continue for 25, looking to get value from those diamond draws and any hands with a queen in them. The button folds, but the big blind, who seemed pretty splashy, makes the call. Turn is the 5 of clubs. I think this is a brick. I don't see my opponent playing too many 6-4 hands here. So I'm going to continue trying to get value. I make it 55, and once again, the big blind makes the call. River is the 4 of diamonds, bringing in the front door flush draw. My opponent now leads out for 130. This is a loose player, so he could just be representing the flush. It might be a block bet with a queen. Maybe he's got a lower set and wants to avoid it going check. And again, he was in the big blind, so he also could have a lot of random 2-pair hands here. I've got that sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. I don't feel good about it, but considering the player type, I just go ahead and stick in the call. But he doesn't have the flush. He turns over pocket sixes. So that means he went runner for a straight. Well, our luck has dissipated, flopping a set of sevens back to back and losing both hands. Shortly thereafter, our name gets called for the 3-5 game, and we're more than happy to get away from this table that all of a sudden has turned sour. 10-8 suited, I bump it up to 40 bucks and get 3-bet by a tight player in the blinds who makes it 140. I'm not quite deep enough to battle against a nitty player even if I'm in position, so I make the fold. And the very next hand we get 10-8 suited again. I take it as a sign and I raise to 35 bucks. The aggressive player on the button raises to 100. This time I'm out of position, but I know I'm going up against an aggressive opponent. So if I happen to hit, I have a pretty good chance of making some money. So I make the call, so we're going heads up out of position to a flop of king 8-6. We hit second pair, I check, and he continues for 150. I call his 150, and the turn brings in a 7, which is going to be much better for my range than for his. It also gives me a gutter. I check, and he checks it back. Thinking I probably have the best hand, and now the river comes in a 10, giving me 2 pair. If I happen to have him beat, and I bet, I think he's just going to fold, and I'm going to probably call anything that he bets. So I decide the best move is to check. I check. He bets 250 and I snap call. He shows ace king. Not really sure why he checked the turn but bet the river, but we will take it and we scoop a decent pot. Pocket jacks and we 3-bet to 75 from the hijack. Cutoff calling station makes the call and the initial raiser, who's a fairly young kid, 4-bets to 250. I've only played against him once before, and based on what I've seen and what I've heard, he's more on the tighter side, so I'm going to put his range on queens or maybe ace-king suited and better. Given that, this is probably a fold, but in the moment, I make the call, and the cutoff calls as well, and the flop comes out 10-9-4. Initial raiser continues for 250. I think I've got to be up against an overpair, and the cutoff could certainly have flopped a set, so it's time for me to get out of the way. I fold, and the cutoff raises, making it 550. The initial raiser calls, the turn is an 8, initial raiser checks, and the cutoff goes all in. The initial raiser calls, the river's a 7, and the cutoff shows 9-9 for a flopped set. We would have gone runner for the straight, but we made the right fold on the flop. Initial raiser looks disgusted and folds. I'm sure he had an overpair. We chip down a little bit, but live to see another day. Ace jack offsuit on the button. The cutoff raises to 50. He seated to my right. If I call, everyone else is going to be priced in. Considering that the cutoff's been on the tighter side, I make an abnormal raise and make it 125. The idea here is to make sure that we fold out everybody else, but it does the trick as everyone else gets out of the way and the cutoff simply puts in the call. Flop comes out Jack 3 deuce. I think if the cutoff had queens or better, he probably would have come over the top. So I'm going to assume I have the best hand here, sitting with top pair, top kicker. He checks, and considering that I'm probably in pretty good shape and my range is going to miss this board quite a bit, I decide to check it back. Turn is another middling card, and now he bets 175. I'm going to stick with the same plan here. I just go ahead and put in the call, thinking I'm still likely to have the best hand. The river pairs the board with another deuce. He bets 200 and I snap call. He shows pocket tens, and our mini trap pays off, as I think we probably made the max. Maybe I should have raised after the river, as in hindsight, he probably calls with pocket tens, but overall, I'm still pretty happy with how I played this hand. We hope to keep it going with pocket aces and 3-bet to $60. We get called by the splashy player sitting in the blinds. The initial raiser folds, and we go off to a flop of 9-5-4 with 2 spades and 1 club. My opponent checks, and I'm going to miss this board pretty consistently. He's splashy and wild enough to check raise me with garbage, just knowing that I would have to hang on for 3 streets. So I check it back. The turn's a 3rd spade, and it's also low, and now he bets a whopping $15. I could raise here. I don't know that I'm going to get called by significantly worse. I just decided to go ahead and play this one safe and make the call. The river's a low club. Now he bets 50 or $60. I snap call, and he shows 10-5 of clubs, good for a single pair. My pocket aces are good. Kind of a weird hand. I know I played this one a little bit passively. On the river, I probably could have once again gone with a raise fold strategy, trying to get a little bit more value from those single pair hands. And if he happens to have 2 pair or better, I'm sure he would just go ahead and raise and I could make an easy fold. Kind of a weird way to play aces, and certainly not the most glamorous hand for a vlog, but I've got to include the ugly along with the good. Ace 5 of hearts under the gun, I raise to 25, and only the big blind makes the call. Flop comes out 4-3 deuce. We hit the wheel on the flop, and with 2 diamonds out there, and considering he probably has a lot of aces in his hand, as well as maybe some over pairs and single pair hands, I bet 25 trying to get value, and he makes the call. Turn is the king of hearts. I bet 85, and sadly my opponent folds. Very next hand, I become the big blind with 8-5 of hearts. Under the gun straddles for 10. There's 1 limper, and I make the call. So we go 3 ways to a flop of 8-7-5 with 2 diamonds. I check. Under the gun bets $10. The limper min raises, and I 3-bet to 65. Under the gun straddle makes the call, and the limper who raised shakes his head and folds. Turn comes in the 8 of spades, giving me a boat. Player seated to my left has been a calling station. Now there's 2 flush draws out there, as well as open-ended. So I bet 100, trying to get value from all those draws. Sure enough, he puts in the call, and one of the draws comes through as the king of diamonds comes in on the river. I'm really hoping he has diamonds, because I think he'll raise me if I go small. So I make it 125. He thinks for a while, folds, and taps the table. I'm guessing he probably had a 6, or maybe he had something like 7-5. That's a bummer, as we strike out on trying to get value. Another boat, and a good way to wrap up the evening. All right, a quick wrap up. We got insanely lucky to start things at 1-3, got off to a massive lead, hit a high hand, and then all of a sudden things soured on us. So we flopped a set of 7s twice, both times against pocket 6s, and ended up losing both. First to runner straight flush, and then to runner straight. So that was kind of annoying. We were in for 500 at 1-3 and cashed out for 860 for a profit of 360. At 3-5, we were in for 1,000 and cashed out for 1605. So add in 1-3 and 3-5, and we end up profiting $960 in 5 hours of play. We will take that all day, every day. And finally, the big announcement, Vlog 27 will cover our first ever live stream and biggest game ever as we went down to Austin, Texas and played at the Lodge. That will be Vlog 27, and we'll have that coming at you shortly. This is Wes signing off for Poker for Pound Pups. Have a great day, and I hope you run great. Hey everybody, subscribe here to catch the latest episodes.
Also, hit that like button and share these videos with anyone who might enjoy them. Doing that really helps the channel and its goal to support dog shelters. So thanks for watching Poker for Pound Pups, and have a great day.